Everyone says abundance is our natural state, but I check my account and the numbers say something different. Am I missing something, or is this just not true for some people? And this is a rephrase of a question that I found. And there is something honest in that question. It doesn't pretend, it just looks at what's actually there. The teaching on one side, the bank account on the other, and ask which one is real. That's not a failure of understanding. That's a good question, and I want to take it seriously. Because if the answer is just shift your mindset or align your vibration, then we are not really talking about abundance at all. We are talking about a more sophisticated way of wanting. So let's go somewhere more honest than that and notice what happens when money is tight. There's a feeling before the thoughts, before the calculations, before the plans. There is a feeling, kind of tightening, a pull toward something not yet here, an orientation toward absence. The feeling always lives slightly in the future, in the not yet, in the not enough. A background hum that something is wrong, something is missing, something needs to be fixed. Now, most of us spend enormous energy trying to fix that feeling by changing the numbers. More income, less debt, a better plan, and sometimes that works temporarily. The tightening eases, there is a relief, but after a while, the same feeling returns, just wearing different numbers. Which starts to suggest something interesting. Maybe the feeling isn't about the numbers at all. And here's what I mean. Think of a room. What makes it useful? What makes it actually a room? Isn't the walls, or the floors, or the ceiling? It's the space inside. That's what you live in. That's what you move through. Take everything out of a room, and what remains isn't nothing. What remains is the space. And the space is the whole point. Now, fill that room completely, floor to ceiling, wall to wall, with furnitures, boxes, objects. The walls are still there. The floor is still there, but the room, as the room, has stopped functioning. There is no space to move, to breathe, to receive anything new. And the feeling of lack works a bit like that. Not because you don't have enough, but because the sense of not having enough fills the available space so completely that there is no room for anything else to arrive. But here is the thing about that room. You don't clear it by pushing the furniture out. You clear it by letting everything in it be exactly where it is, fully without resistance. The tightening, the ache, the story of not enough, you let it be completely what it is without trying to fix or dissolve it. That full acknowledgement is what reveals the space. And in that revelation, something becomes apparent. You were never the furniture. You are the room. The space was never actually blocked. It only seemed that way because all the attention on what was filling it. The recognition itself is the clearing. You might say, but the circumstances are real. The bills are real. The numbers don't lie. And that's true. I'm not asking you to pretend otherwise. But there is a different question. Who is it that money eludes? There is a version of you in this story, the one who doesn't have enough, the one money flows around instead of toward, the one who has tried and not quite arrived. That version has a texture, a history, a set of beliefs about how things tend to go for people like them. That version is very convincing. It has evidence. But is that version of who you actually are, or is it something that arises inside what you are? Because here's what I notice. The feeling of lack is an experience, like any other experience. A sound, a thought, a sensation in the body. It arises, it stays for a while, and it shifts. And something is aware of it. That awareness, does it also feel the lack? Is it also tight, also grasping, also waiting for the numbers to change before it can relax? Or is it simply open to whatever is arising? The feeling of not enough appears in awareness the way a storm appears in sky. The storm is real. The rain is real. The wind is real. The darkness is real. But the sky doesn't become the storm. The sky doesn't contract around it. The sky stays what it is, open, unbounded, while the weather moves through it. You are more like the sky than the storm. That's not a metaphor for comfort. It's an accurate description of what's actually here. Let's look at that right now. Find the feeling of financial lack. Or if it's not present right now, find any sense of something missing, something not yet enough. Don't reach for it. Just notice if it's already there. And now, instead of trying to change it, resolve it, or explain it, let it be exactly as it is. Let the tightening tighten. Don't fix it. Let it have the room to be fully what it is. And now, gently, notice what's aware of it. Not the feeling itself, what's registering the feeling, the awareness in which the sensation is appearing. Is that awareness tight? Is it lacking? Is it waiting for something outside itself to arrive before it can be complete? Or is it simply here, open, already present, not missing anything in order to be what it is? Rest there for a moment, not to dissolve the feeling, not to attract better circumstances, just to be where you actually are, which is here, aware, complete, as the ground, while the weather of luck moves through. And notice in that openness, something shifts. Not because you did anything, nothing was pushed away, but attention, which was contracted around the problem, suddenly is nowhere particular to be. And in that space, things arise that were always there, but too subtle to register through the noise of seeking. Unbidden, unmanaged, not chosen, but not random either. This is what becomes available when the story isn't running everything. A kind of spontaneous arising from somewhere that isn't the part of you that curates and controls. That arising is itself a form of evidence, a lived demonstration that something is here beyond the managing itself, something that was never lacking resources surprises you. Now, here's what that means when you are sitting with an overdue bill. It doesn't mean the bill disappears. It doesn't mean money will arrive because you have achieved the right inner state. That's still the old framework, using presence as a tool to get something. What it means is the one who acts from openness acts differently than the one who acts from contraction. When you are contracted around scarcity, around the story that money eludes you specifically, that you are someone that is excluded from how things flow, the attractions that come from that place have a particular quality. They are effortful, they are tight, they push slightly too hard or pull back from something that deserves engagement. The grasping itself becomes the interference. And when you act from the recognition that what you are is already full, not full of money, full as awareness, the same practical action has a different texture, clearer, more direct, less colored by the story of the person money avoids. The room, when it's open, can actually receive what comes through the door. This isn't about bypassing your situation. It isn't about pretending scarcity isn't real in the world, in structures, in actual material conditions. It is real, and that matters. But the particular suffering of money eludes me, the personal story, the sense of being someone for whom abundance is always just out of reach, that version of the problem is being kept alive by something subtle. Every time that feeling arises and we take it to be about us, when we treat the character who lacks as what we actually are, we sign the contract again. We make the story solid, not because we are doing something wrong, but because identification is so habitual, it happens below the level of noticing. The story of the person money avoids continues to operate and to color every action, every decision, every glance at the account for exactly as long as it goes unquestioned. Not because it's true, because it hasn't been looked at. The investigation isn't how do I get more. The investigation is who is the one it's happening to. And here the story shows its hand. At first, it resists. This teaching doesn't apply to my situation. My problems are practical. The bills are still real. That resistance is familiar. You can feel it as friction, as a tightening around the inquiry itself. But then, as the resistance softens, as glimpses happen, and the teaching starts to land, something more subtle occurs. The story doesn't fight anymore. It joins. It says, yes, I see it. I am just a story. Now, let me become the one who is permanently beyond stories. The content changed. From once I have enough money to once I am permanently established in awareness, but the structure is identical. The same self, still seeking, still oriented toward a future arriving point, still waiting for completion before it can relax. The seeing of that movement, not as a failure, but as another arising, is itself the loosening. Not once and for all, just now and now and now. Look for that one carefully, not to dismiss the difficulty, but to find out whether that person is as solid as they seem, whether the one money eludes is as fixed, as real, as inevitable as they feel. The numbers may or may not change, but the one who waits for the numbers to change before they feel whole, that one can be seen through. Right now, without needing anything to be different first. And that recognition, however brief it becomes, however quiet, is not nothing. It is perhaps the most practical thing available to a human being. Because what remains is prior to all of it, prior to having and not having, prior to the story of who you are and what you lack or have. That, whatever name you give it, it is what you are. That is not abundance as something you have. That is abundance as what you are. Complete, undiminished, already whole.